So again, you're looking up, and then we would hold that for 1 minute. After 1 minute, you can slowly come out of the posture, and that is the C0-C1 ELDOA. And while we're resting, it's time to move on to the theme of today's video, and that is going to be spinal decompression. And today I'm going to be taking you through 27 different ELDOAs, and we're going to be starting at the base of the skull and working our way all the way down to the sacrum. With regard to this first one, this is going to be the C0-C1 ELDOA, and it's meant to create space at the atlanto-occipital joint. So just between the occiput and your C1 vertebra or your atlas. With regard to this, if there's any type of compression at the C1 nerve root, it's going to affect things like neck flexion. And you could also experience symptoms like occipital neuralgia, headaches, or limited cervical mobility. So if you are experiencing any of those issues, this would be a great ELDOA to do. With regard to the C0-C1 ELDOA, this is going to be a unilateral exercise, which means we are going to be performing it on each side. With regard to the positioning, we are going to be in a side-lying position. And first thing that we want to do, we want to go ahead and with our bottom arm, we want to just use it as a pillow, and we can go ahead and just rest our head on there. We want to make sure that the spine is nice and straight. With the legs, we want to flex the hips and knees. The knees, we want to flex them to 90 degrees, and we want to flex the hips just far enough that the heel of the bottom leg is going to be in line with the ischial tuberosity or your sit bones, where the hamstring's attached to. Now, from this position right over here, what we want to do is with the top leg, we want to go into a combination of flexion, abduction, and lateral rotation by taking the heel just in front of the bottom knee, and then we want to press that leg out toward the side. We want to make sure that everything is nice and stacked up. So the pelvis, we don't want to be rolling forward or backward. It should be perpendicular to the ground. With the top arm, what we want to do is we're going to go into a combination of coronal abduction, abduction away from the midline, lateral rotation. We're going to go into coronal abduction, then we're going to go into forearm pronation, elbow flexion, and wrist extension. For the elbow flexion, we want the elbow flexed to approximately 90 degrees. And from this position over here, all that's left to do is we want to go ahead and we want to look up toward the sky. We also want to make sure, this is an additional step, you don't have to do it, but if you swallow, and when you swallow, stick the tongue up against the roof of your mouth, we can place the buccopharyngeal fascia under tension, which is going to help a little bit more with cervical stabilization. But this is the actual position itself. So the entire time, we don't want to lose any of these points of contact. Your knee, you're continuously pressing back, and you really want to activate those abductors and lateral rotators. With your ischial tuberosities, you want to press away from your body. With the crown of your head, you're pressing in the opposite direction. And then with your arm, you just want to make sure that that elbow remains at 90 degrees. And your elbow, you also want to push it away from your body. That way, we are tractioning from both ends. So again, you're looking up. And then we would hold that for 1 minute. After 1 minute, you can slowly come out of the posture. And that is the C0-C1 ELDOA. Go ahead, if you're experiencing any of those symptoms like occipital neuralgia, headaches, or if you have any type of limitations in your neck flexion, go ahead and give that a try. During the next rest period, we're going to be getting into the C1-C2 ELDOA. But for right now, our rest period is up. It is time for set number 2. That was just a tiny taste of what can be found in my members only section. If you enjoyed it, become a member for only $5 a month to get access to hundreds of member only videos.